All set, Leanne?
Yeah.
All right, we'll get started. I'd like to welcome everyone to an audit meeting for February 22nd, 2022. I believe the clerk has taken attendance. We have a quorum present. We've got a couple of vouchers to discuss. The first one is, actually there's two that concern the highway department. And the first one, a PO was opened with Main Care Energy, PO number 22080. And again, this seems to be a pattern here. The funds were depleted. Nobody was tracking them. There was not authority given in 2021 for the additional $2,321.62 for that. Also the Morton Salt voucher, which comes out of account DB 5142.490. Again, there was a PO authorized number 22194, and the PO only had $2,660.86 left in it, and the highway superintendent authorized, or actually purchased additional $5,225.79. So we will have to authorize a new PO to cover the difference, but it's going to have to come out of the 2022 budget because these funds were expended without authority in 2021, and from an accounting practice, we have to have authority in the books. So I don't know if the highway department or highway committee wants to work because, as you recall, last board meeting we had a similar situation. I don't know why it's not that hard to track what's authorized and what you're spending. And the unfortunate part is we had the money in 2021, but now it has to come out of the 2022 budget, which we've already established for the reasons stated at the budget workshop. So we're going to need a authority to authorize the payment of $2,321.62 for Main Care Energy. Is that correct?
Yes.
So to be expended from account DB 5142.460.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, and before we vote, make sure I get the right account number. Actually, he's got this coming out of account DB 5142.490. Is that right?
Morton Salt should be 490, right?
490, yeah. So the voucher, the original voucher came out of 0.460, but he wants to take it out of, or we have to take it out of 0.49 account. Is that right?
The Main Care should be the 460 account because that's gasoline.
Oh,
And the 490 is Morton Salt. That's the other one going to have to.
So the gas thing will come out of 0.46.
490.
460.
460.
That's what you said twice.
490. is the gasoline.
That's what it was in 2021. My question is, so you must be still taking them out of the same PO or the same account, so. How about the motion be for the appropriate gasoline account?
Okay.
Does that work? That works for me.
Are you okay with it?
Second that.
All right, any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And then the next correction is in relation to the Morton Salt voucher. And this would be for authorizing payments to Morton Salt Incorporated company out of Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $5,225.79. That would come from the appropriate account for salt, which I believe is 5142.490.
Yeah, motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion on that? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We have a voucher for Newcastle, which we're going to discuss at the full board meeting, executive session. Which I'll state the reasons for that. The only other question I had is we have a voucher for Metroland Business, and we pay an annual maintenance fee for our folding machine. This year's voucher is in the amount of $882, and I took a look at what we do historically with that. Back in 2018, we paid for it. It was $800, the same amount in 2019. 2020 was same amount, and then 2021 it increased to $840, and then this year it's what I just described as $882, and we've never used it. And the folding machine itself, I think, was around, did we find out what it cost?
7,800?
Yeah, under $8,000. So, not counting this proposal for the maintenance, annual maintenance agreement, we've already spent almost over $3,400 for maintenance agreement we don't use. I don't think we need to do it myself, but I want to bring to the board's attention before decide which way you want to go with it.
Isn't that a newer folding machine?
It was brand new.
Yes.
We replaced the old one.
Yes. There was an email from a lady from Metroland. I'd asked her how much this is our repair things on there or something were to go on. She had different prices. She said there's so many parts in it. She couldn't give me a price of it, so there was an email there, rollers and stuff that they run between.
So the original purchase price was $7,647.50 for the machine. So we've already got half of that in maintenance contract, which we haven't used for the past one.
I just don't know if something goes wrong, how much it's gonna be. I know Leanne had talked about the Pitney Bowes one. It was downstairs and they never carried the maintenance agreement on it. Prices were astronomical, I guess, to replace.
Yeah, I mean, you see their hourly rate here is $175 an hour. And they're saying it's gonna be $53 just to come out here paying fees, I guess it's.
Yeah,
We've never, it's the
we don't
price.
use it daily, it's not used, every day, 2,000 pieces a day, I mean, it's used.
We've never had an issue with it.
No, water bill twice a year. He uses it for taxes. It's It's not used every day.
So my recommendation would to not carry it through,
Yeah, I mean, also, you can kind of self-insure it, just overnight. I mean, it's newer. It seems like we're spending more money than we should on the vehicles.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if they have to come out once a year, it almost would be a wash, and we've gone this many years. To this point,
do we have, we're not under contract with them right now, this was to.
This is agreement.
Okay,
We're just
So-
it's agreement.
if the board wants to sit tight on, we can let them know that.
Yeah.
Okay,
in a second, I agree.
and I don't think we need a motion on that, but just want to make sure everybody's on board. Okay, so there's your answer, Tammy. And that was it, right? Okay, so we've got, we've got our annual resolution to transfer funds, which closes the budget for 2021. And the clerk has a copy of the actual individual transfers. What I thought I would do without objection from the board is to just read the total for each account that's being transferred, list the account. Go from there at the same time. All right, so at this time, this is in relation to the general fund. I entertain a motion to transfer $26,459.04 from account A 1355.401. Is that right, reading that right? And it'll go to the individual. That's the other way around. I thought it was the other way around. We take the small amounts to add up to the big one. Is that not true?
No, we usually take it from the big account.
All right, so to the various general fund accounts as outlined in the principal clerk's request to transfer funds. And again, this is to recognize the additional 2021 appropriations expended in the 2022 budget of the general fund.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The next account is in a motion to transfer $611.71 from account B 9060.8, which is town outside, to account B 9010.8, which is town outside. And this is for the increased costs, the way the formula went from the state. Employers are having to pay a little bit more for their employees toward the retirement system. And this is to cover that difference with the increase. So somebody like to move that.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And then the next account is the highway DB account. We'll do it similar to the general fund. Entertain a motion to transfer $8,586.70 from account DB 9060.8, which is highway employee benefits, medical insurance, per the schedule provided to board members by the principal account clerk. And again, this is to cover various appropriations expended in 2022 for 2021.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And then the next accounts are sewer account, and entertain a motion to transfer $1,653.22 from account GI 8110.1, which is sewer administration, for the outline various accounts provided by the principal account clerk. And again, this is for retirement contributions.
Make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Then in water, again, this is for state retirement. I entertain a motion to transfer $183.13 from account I 9060.8.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously. And again, this is for water 2. Entertain a motion to transfer $1,727.45 from water 2, which is 8310.1, also for the same reason for the town insurance costs. So that,
So,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next one is for Water District 3 fund, $116.22 from account SW 9060.8 to account SW 9010.8.
So moved.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Similarly, Water 4, and again, we did a water district consolidation, so we don't have these individual accounts now. This is from last year when we had the various accounts. From the county practice, we have to do it this way. So I entertain a motion to transfer $308.15 from account IV or IV 9060.8 to account IV 9010.8.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the former Water District 5, entertain a motion to transfer $84.52 to account V 9010.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Water District 6, same reason. Entertain a motion to transfer $514.16 from V1 or VI 9060.8 to VI 9010.8.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And then we have a resolution to increase appropriations. And this is for in the amount of $10,073.36 in account I 8310.4, which is Water District 1. And this is a result of bills that we didn't receive until January of this year, but it's for costs associated from 2021.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And, okay, so that cleaned up 2021. And obviously, we're in 2022, so we do have a couple of transfers. So the first motion I've been looking for is to transfer $494.64 from account A 1990.4 to account A 1940.4.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Under discussion, transfer is a one-time payment of property taxes for recently purchased land. Next, sorry, we vote on that? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next resolution would be to transfer $15.90 from account A 1990.4, which is the general contingent account, to A 9055.8, which is general employees disability insurance, and this is for the cover payments of our disability insurance for 2022.
So.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next resolution would be to transfer $4,878.97 from account A 1990.4, which is general contingent account, to account A 9950.9. And this is for general transfers capital project fund. Reason for this is for payment of legal fees in relation to the Route 9 sewer project in our negotiations with the city of Lynn's office.
So,
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And then finally, entertain a motion for $76.50 to be transferred from TS 9060.8, which is medical insurance, to account TS 9055.8, which is the transfer station employee benefits disability insurance. And this is to cover our 2022 payment of disability insurance.
so,
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So those are the transfers, those are the vouchers, anything else?
Nope, that's all right.
All right. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to pay the bills as.
so moved. Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and entertain a motion to adjourn the audit.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Anybody opposed?
You
You got it. All right, thank you very much, everyone. We'll start our regular scheduled board meeting shortly. Amy, you need anything from me to be signed?
No, you're not doing better.
And on these vouchers, what do we have to do?
They're fine, they're just copies.
So much they can do. Oh, this was, that's on the close.
Yeah.
These are copies.
Yep.
One of that. Here's the discussion, here's the transfer. Go in right here. Good. All right.
You're welcome.
Have a good night. Stay dry.
Yes.
We're all set. Everybody all set? Leanne, you all set? Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone to a regular meeting of the Monroe Town Board for February 22nd, 2022. And ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Stewart,
Here.
Councilmember Van Tassel,
Here.
Councilmember Donahue,
Here.
Supervisor Tuesday,
Here. And if everyone would please rise for a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, everyone. First order of business is we have 2 sets of minutes for adoption. The first one is for a regular town board meeting for January 25th, 2022. I think everybody was here for both of them. So the second one is for February 8th, 2022, which was also a regular town board meeting. So any changes, corrections? If not, I entertain a motion to adopt both together. So. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Second item this evening is the highway department. And first is in relation to a request, it's actually in the form of a memo. It would be a memo. When it came, it's not dated, but it's not on the purchase request form that we require, but the highway superintendent is requesting a contract with Saratoga County for road striping, which we have budgeted for in the 2022 budget. He would like us to authorize the expenditure of up to $20,000, which is an account A3310.499 as of February 2nd. As in the past, this paint is temperature sensitive, so what the county does, it gets the orders from all the various municipalities, and then it's stored at a temperature controlled area, and then they do the striping. And this is an approximation for our roads. I'm not sure how many miles of roads we have. I know it's over 80, 85 maybe. I know not all of the roads miles are striped. And Paul's looking for authorization to spend the 20 grand, which we budgeted for this year.
And the county gets a response quickly so they get the order.
I think so. There's a memo attached from the county. I'd like to hear, this was dated February 15th. They would like to we need to be as accurate as possible. They would like it, the information by March 7th. If they don't hear from us, they're going to assume we do not need any striping this year. They need to know the exact mileage, but I just have the memo for a request. I don't have the additional information.
You looking for a motion?
Yeah, if the board's,
Oh, yeah, I know personally get the road striped, need to be striped, so I'll present a motion authorizing the highway superintendent to enter a contract with Saratoga County for the striping of the road up to not exceed $20,000. Available at A3310.499.
I'll second.
any discussion? All under discussion, just a reminder, all of our purchasing memo went out from the principal accountant, I think it was last week, that we have a form for this, so that's easier to get all the information in place for us, so that all the departments use that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We have a request from the highway department in relation to staffing. I'm going to suggest that we table it into executive session. That's going to require a conversation in relation to the work history of either a current or a former town. So we'll be taking that later. There's also a request in relation to a promotion from our highway department for the mechanic to a mechanic / MEO position. We discussed this at the previous board meeting. Was referred to the highway committee. I don't know if more information has become available. The information that I was provided does state the accurate accounts that the increase would come from, and but again, it does not address the issue of the increased costs that were not discussed at budget time. I feel strongly that it sets a bad precedent when we do promotions outside the confines of the budget discussions that we have. Again, this request was not brought up at budget time, it was not discussed. And just a reminder that the town just adopted a new 3-year contract, which gave all employees, in addition to any longevity they may be entitled to, a 3% raise. And if the board were inclined to move forward with the request for a promotion, it's almost a $6,000 increase for that position based on the new rates for that class. So I don't know what the highway committee has come up with a recommendation, if any, at this time. My recommendation would be that we do these things as part of the budget process. I don't know if anybody has any.
I see this more as a, like I said, it's quite obvious, it's a motion the gentleman has worked for. The being promoted to a position that's needed, to a machine operator mechanic, which you cannot have machine operators in that business. I don't think we're short of funds. I don't see any reason why we can't fund this somehow.
The other thing I would like to add is that per the contract, when we have an employee who's working out of class, they get that favor. And I can tell you that the last pay period, the individual was paid MEO pay for a good portion of the hours worked in that pay period. So,
Yeah, I guess as far as having it come up during budget time or not, we have a department head that's telling, one of his employees that this is where I want to move you. We asked that department head to go out and tell us where he's getting that money from, which he did. Like I said, I definitely agree with the supervisor that it should have been done at budget time. But with that being said, my personal opinion, I don't want to hold up an employee's raise that a department head said that he should get, especially with trying to find employees right now and qualified trained ones. This time, my recommendation would be to take it from the balances that the department head says he can use and move him to the mechanic / MEO position. And that's just my view on it tonight.
And your point, he's gonna be paid to the work that he's doing outside his grade anyways. Let's put it in there and go.
well, I don't see, so let me back up. Appreciate your input on that. The other thing the board should keep in mind is, you just heard tonight, we just drew down another $12,000 out of the highway budget that we had planned to do because a PO wasn't opened at the end of 2021 when the money was available. Again, a pattern there, which is, I don't know why it's happening, but it's not my department. And the individual separately elected to run that department within the confines of the budget put together by the town board. So, here we're going to be, requiring additional personnel service costs. And we just, I don't know when the oversights are going to stop regarding POs. But again, it impacts that budget directly. So knowing that the fact that when you work out of class, you're going to get that pay anyway. I'm not prepared to move forward.
Well, the thing is, the highway department is funded with sales tax money. Am I correct? We had one call of sales tax money this year. We had money that we hadn't anticipated when we did the budget. And you had mentioned that we had to look for somewhere to spend some of that money, and I think this might be one of those places we can spend that money. Dr. Jeffrey, and that money is sitting right now in general fund, I don't see why, or it could be moved into the highways budget to cover its cost.
I'd like to comment on that. I will never support a budget amendment to pay for an employee's raise, never. That requires a budget amendment, Councilman.
So the highway committee that spoke, because they were looking into it, I know the members of the personnel committee, which would include myself, did have some involvement. When I made my position clear at the last meeting, that I feel terrible, we have a particular employee that's getting kind of impacted by our head's inability to possibly get the I's dotted and the T's crossed correctly, but I don't know if I heard a motion from the highway transfer or the highway committee or not. Understand, I expect the supervisory position.
At this point, like I said, made my statement before, I would make the motion to transfer the $5,920 to cover the employee's raise. It looks like it would be coming out of account DB 5142.490. That's where the highway superintendent says he can afford to take some funds from, and as long as that is the correct account, that's what I want to talk about.
He wants to pull it out of DB 5142.4, that's right.
Same initial balance of 120,000.
$142,490. That's road salt. So, if you recall, but you recall during the our budget discussions that we cut that back from the previous year. Yeah. So that'd be coming from road salt, which has the potential to impact public safety.
Yes, at this point,
Yeah, I think at this point in the season, there's that's a valid concern, but not at this point in the season.
Well, this goes into up to December next year.
and the only other way to get money for the general fund would be a budget.
Well, I can't pay, let's see. Actually, doesn't personnel services have to come out of the general fund? No, they come out of, because the village has some W. Well, let's see.
It's dying.
Do you know which, I don't, where does it come out of for payroll?
I'm looking at, well, this is the old one. This is 20.
So we break it up between, oh no, it's few, so personnel services. So that's 5142.1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, maybe, because as the supervisor did bring up, he is acting that role contractually, he is getting paid that rate. Maybe we table it for one more meeting, even though I don't want to confirm a better account possibly than road salt, that the highway superintendent could, pull this out of, obviously if another board member feels differently.
You withdrawing your motion?
At this time, if it's gonna be coming out of road salt, I guess
No, it would be, no, no, you're right, it's road, so 490. So personnel services is DB 5142.1, which has a current balance of 274,000. That's where the men are paid. It comes out of snow removal, and the other half comes out of the other account, because the payroll is over 600,000 down there. It's probably a good idea to, at a minimum, to table until after we have an executive session conversation, because there's another request in there which we'll discuss.
I'm comfortable tabling until after that and discussing those other issues as well that are gonna be brought up that I see here.
So, and then we want to wait until,
Yeah, if you don't have a motion on the table, so
okay.
we're moving on.
So I think that is.
So does that motion get withdrawn for now?
It was withdrawn by.
Oh, we did, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's all I have for highway. Next item on the agenda is agenda item 3, Water and Sewer Department. Mike is looking for direction. I have a list of several pages. 1, 2, full pages, actually 3 full pages of meters that we have that are bad meters. As you know, we've hired a new laborer who is going in and has begun replacing them as they become available. We don't have any, I think it's 1.5 inch meters that for whatever reason, none were ever ordered. So we've got them on order, but we don't know when they're going to come in. But with improperly reading meters, Mike's looking for direction on what to do with these multiple pages of users. And his recommendation is to go with a minimum bill, which I think will benefit all the ratepayers for this go around. Obviously, it requires board action, so that's why I'm bringing it to the board's attention.
Can I ask for some clarity?
Sure.
Are these, is this list separate from the identified meters that, we identified as having bad batteries and the manufacturer agreed to do those replacement meters? Because those weren't all dead yet, so that was a cycle of replace 40, they said there's 40 more, replace 40, they said, is that separate from this conversation, or is?
Well, when he said bad meters, I took it to mean that they weren't reading accurately for whatever, either the battery didn't work or, I would have to say that based on the numbers here, it's gotta be because the batteries aren't working properly. So we're getting them as they become available, we're installing them as best we can, but there's no way they're all going to be replaced with the radio reads before the billing period ends. So the question is, what do we want to do with it?
We normally would know estimates, would we not?
Yes.
Meters, bad?
You talked to Mike today, right?
Yeah, we do normally do estimates.
You want to talk about your conversation with Mike after I left.
We had just talked about, he thought 18,000 gallons, the minimum would be okay to charge people that these meters weren't working. When I looked up the accounts, a lot of them were in that 2,000 to 3,000 gallon range of the 18,000 or less. That is over 100. I'd have to estimate. He just thinks that the 18,000 is
Sounds pretty
like sort of
fair.
minimum to charge. There was a few that I did estimate, like Hudson Headwaters wasn't being, obviously they use more than 18,000 gallons, so I estimated that.
I'm fine with the recommendation, if that's what you're asking, charge them as minimum.
So that'll require a motion to,
Can I just ask one more? No, okay, those Hudson Headwaters, so one of the new building that just went in, theirs is already not working.
Right, yeah. Zero.
So just for history, for your purpose, we
Yeah.
have a ton of meters. We have like a 6-page pamphlet of meters that they sent us that they knew were going to die. After they started to die, they realized these are the ones that were in this batch that they knew were going to die. So they're supposed to be swapping them out. Many of those that are on the supervisor's list are on that list of the ones that the meters are, not planning to survive.
That sounds like, yeah, the only fair thing to do then this time, just. So, yeah, I'm fine with it.
and it's fair to the ratepayers.
Yeah.
So I need a motion to authorize the billing of a minimum fee for
Minimum value charge.
minimum
It's
value charge for,
$6.80 for 18,000 gallons. If we charge the minimum, so it's 18,000.
well, yeah, whatever's in the code. We just need to charge them the minimum.
For the code.
Pretty good.
So,
Second.
Any additional discussion? All in favor?
I
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
have additional discussion. Yes, sure, somewhat related. So would you be okay if the water committee gets with Michael and the labor, and maybe we revisit the past agreement where that vendor, I forgot their name, is only setting us 40 at a time, master meter. We will never, ever gonna get done. And this list is just gonna keep growing, and then more people are gonna have that
Sure.
meter. So let the water committee go see what we can do.
Do you want?
I'll get the list that Ian's referring to.
I did give the agreement to Mike too, so he has.
Yeah, I think he supported it, and I spoke about it. We just learned about it when Mike took over, and we're just never gonna get done. We need to figure out whether we,
Yeah, the quicker we get on board.
so let's bring some recommendations back.
Perfect. And then also under Water and Sewer Department, I received correspondence dated February 2nd from Plus Equipment Incorporated on Route 9, 1356 State Route 9. I'll read, I don't know if the board member's got a copy of it, but I'll read it. Some relation to new Monroe sewer exemption request. Theodore T. Christian Jr. I've been operating Kloss Equipment at this location continuously since 1983. Trailer sales generate the majority of our revenue. Unfortunately, we were unable to procure any trailers from our manufacturers this past year, resulting in a major loss of revenue for 2021. Our trailer manufacturers, like so many other manufacturers, do not have any inventory due to the COVID-19 related labor and supply chain shortages. With availability being at such a critical level, back orders exceeding 6 months, I do not expect to see much of an improvement regarding revenue during 2022. I appreciate your attention to this matter, and I hope that you are willing to grant our exemption request that will release Kloss Equipment from the additional financial burden of the new Monroe sewer system, thus giving us the opportunity to stay in business. If you have any questions regarding this release request or to require any additional information, please feel free to reach out to me. So I spoke with our engineer on this, and you cannot be removed from a district once it's created. And the other thing that they pointed out, that there will be no bills going out this year for sewer use, for use of the sewer line. And so there's no way for us to help this individual without causing a illegal situation that would cause problems for the town. So I wanted the board to be aware of that in case anybody reaches out to you on that matter. The district was created legally, appropriately. It was done by a referendum, which did not have to occur, but it did. We made something that we thought was important, and the users in the proposed district voted to create it. So he's in the district, he cannot be removed. So I know Council Member Van Tassel brought up the issue of security with some of our water infrastructure site.
Well, I mean, in light of, it came to mind again in light of the recent news around, what's happening over with Russia and then the concerns about identified threats in the US on municipal water systems. But we regardless of that, should as a board consider whether or not we want to put some additional security on around at least the Knoll Road facility. We don't have, that's where all our skating equipment's located. Today we currently have, we don't have a water system for that building, and we don't have any security for that building. So it would be, suggestion that we, if the board's interested, we'll have the technology committee look into that.
I think that's an excellent idea. So, right name for the job. Absolutely. All right.
I also think we're technically obligated to do it with some of the new cybersecurity mandates that are coming out.
Right. The partial. Good. All right. So you'll report back any recommendations coming out.
Yep.
Excellent. Agenda item 4 is town court. I believe members of the board received a request from the court to hire an additional part-time court officer. They do have a recommendation, and I don't think they're aware of this, but the court officer position is a civil service position and requires you to go off a list. So my recommendation would be that obviously we're going to follow civil service law. So we'll have to go off the list, and maybe the personnel committee wants to work with the justices to establish interviews off the existing list. I can't remember how many are on it. The other thing is you can't get the list until you've created this position, as everyone, I don't know, you may not be aware of that, but so there's some steps that have to be taken. You just can't take a name that is recommended and hired. So I would refer this to the personnel committee for action.
I'll talk to them. I'm getting too much on.
Sorry. No, sorry. Do you have you've got the information? Yes. All right. Was there any, I know it was referred to at our last board meeting, there was requests regarding student interns.
I don't know feedback.
Okay.
I thought about them, then you want to reach out, but I don't know. I know you're going to look into it. Yes, maybe.
All right.
I'll touch on that tomorrow. So no additional information.
All right. Next item I have listed is the transfer station. Couple of items. First one is I want to make the board aware. I just found out today that on Saturday we had an employee that fell on the job. It required emergency squad to respond. The individual was transported to the hospital. I don't have an accident report. I can't tell you exactly what happened. I know we talked at the last board meeting that anytime there's that kind of medical injury, that we should be looking at a policy that requires a physician's release to come back for obvious reasons, basically liability to the town. And he will not be able to see a doctor until March 3rd. His appointment is scheduled. So I want to make the board aware of that. The other thing is I received.
Are they filling out the accident report now?
I know that Jeffrey has reached out to people that were there at the time, but I don't have an accident report yet. I did remind all department heads of, you know, how to proceed with that.
I've got a note to myself to call Mike tomorrow, make sure that gets taken care of.
So we have correspondence from a current employee, but I'd like to table it until the session. Because, yeah, just, did you see it? Yeah. So I'd like to table that for further action for the executive session discussion. Number 6, Recreation Department. Got a number of requests from our rec leader. First one is he's looking for authorization to advertise and begin the interview process for part-time seasonal park staff. He's estimating 5 to 6 positions, and for Sandbar Beach lifeguards, which would be another 7 to 8 positions. I don't know if anybody's had correspondence with the village mayor or any trustees. Has that road, Beach Road, been certified for vehicles?
I know it's repaired, but I don't know the specific answer to that
I
question.
don't know if they, okay, so anyway, that's kind of, that's just an aside for, I mean, obviously we wasn't using the beach for that, but.
We'll follow.
Okay, so we should find out if we're okay there, because I never got correspondence that we're good to go on that. So anyway, that would require a motion from the board authorizing him to advertise. I don't know if the personnel committee or rec committee want to be involved in that.
He knows to bring the final fastest, but as far as getting the approval, yeah. You want a motion or?
Sure.
Yeah. Present a motion authorizing the rec committee department head to advertise for the open positions for the seasonal park staff and the Sandbar Beach lifeguards.
At the established rate of 2022.
22 budget.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next request is to purchase a new gas-powered airless paint striper. This is something we budgeted for this year. He would like to buy one that has enough PSI, or actually the one he's looking at has enough PSI to be capable of painting both athletic field lines and also pavement markings, as well as handle paints of different types and colors. The amount we budgeted for was $3,000. The lowest quote was for $2,424, which includes free shipping from the Pittsburgh Spray Equipment Company. And he's recommending, he did get three quotes. First one, as I indicated, was from Pittsburgh Spray Company. The second one was from Global Industrial out of Chicago, which was $2,664.99. And the third one was New Stripe out of Aurora, Colorado, in the amount of $2,895.15. And this would come out of account A7140.2, current balance as of the end of January is $11,550. Again, he's recommending that we go with Pittsburgh Spray Equipment Company. Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Third item is for the purchase of 2 new portable baseball, softball fences, which were also budgeted for this year. And there's a note in here that we budgeted $2,200 for the purchase. The low quote is $2,304.51. However, he's indicating that the additional money will be available in budget line A7140.2 since the paint striper is less than expected. And the quotes that we have are on Deck Sports from Baintree, Massachusetts, which is $2,304.51. Anthem Sports, Pawcatuck, Connecticut, for $4,265.94. And Markers Incorporated out of Avon Lake, Ohio, for $4,155.70. And this would also come out of account A7140.2, which has a balance as of the end of January of $11,550 minus the current expenditure that we just authorized. He is recommending that we purchase the fence from On Deck Sports for $2,304.51.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The last request is in relation to our old club car XRT and snow tracks, which we discussed at the last board meeting, and we had directed rec department to take it back from the dealer, and we would decide on what we'd like to do with it. He's looking for approval to put it up for auction through Auctions International. I know that Councilmember Stewart has been working on options for a replacement for that. And I think all the board members have a copy, or?
I'm not sure if they got forwarded after you and I talked,
Yeah.
but I guess the quick version of it, because my phone's at 1%, is he priced out 2 machines for UTV, closed caps. One was a Kubota, one was a John Deere. The Kubota was an RTV X900. This is diesel. He advised that this is around $22,000 with the options and accessories, including a plow. The trap kit would be $5,400. So given an estimated total of $27,400. He's stating that he believes that there's going to be a $4,000 to $5,000 state contract price lower than that. The second one that he brought forward was the John Deere, which was a XUV 835M, which is a gas. The enclosed cab, which would be similar to what the Kubota was, came in at $33,400. To go with an open cab would be $28,000. Again, he stated $4,000 to $5,000 off at the state pricing, and the grand total of that coming up to the $33,400. He's saying from his online reviews of what our Cub Cadet current is, our club car XRT, he's thinking with the tracks he can get somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000 at auction. Obviously, I spoke with the supervisor. Sending it to auction is a giant risk. I think the trade-in option is a little bit more controlled before we go that way. If nobody's interested in trading it in, well, then now we have our cars in play. He's advising that he has $4,000 in his equipment budget that is unspoken for right now, which I have not looked into for what that $4,000 item was. So that leaves us potentially, if if we did the tracks and the machine, me personally, I'm looking more at the Kubota diesel engine. Just you're getting, in my opinion, more for less money. It would be leaving us with $12,000 to $15,000 to budget or defined. I think we could, as of right now, eliminate the tracks, put them in next year's budget and do it right, and we could potentially be doing this for that $5,000 to $7,000 mark instead of the 12 to 15. I asked him to give me a list of what this side-by-side is used for, and it sounds like it's just a daily used items, field maintenance, park maintenance, getting everything ready for the kids. I know some possible options is to come out of some rec funds. I know there's $300,000 in there, 110 of it, I believe, is earmarked for my discussion with the council members. And I know we need to really put that towards, you know, a function of the kids, and I think operation for the kids to be able to use the park and have it clean and the field to support it. So I would like to continue to move forward to figure to actually get formal. I guess I'd have to ask the supervisor or council, what's the next step? Is can we move forward with a formal?
So as far from a procedure standpoint, so we would have to authorize the expenditure of a fixed amount. It would be subject to a permissive referendum.
And that's a 30-day time period.
So it's a 30-day time period. And so after that, that's when we would go out for either off the state contract or put it out to bid. Either way.
Correct. You have to have the ability to spend the funds.
Yeah, so I guess the question for the board tonight is what's the amount that we would like to establish that we use from the reserve. And if you, well, first of all, if you want to vote for, and secondly, if you do want to go that route, what's the amount?
Which reserve fund are you
Each day. Outside.
outside, okay?
Yeah.
Because that one does require, inside does not.
I think there's not much left in these.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can do it for the rest of the week. So I agree with Councilman Stewart as far as what we should be looking at. Definitely, I mean, I can tell you I have experience with a little bit bigger model. He's referencing they are heavy duty, they're diesel. They do stand up to rough use. And I think we get, even though it costs a bit, we get longer life out of it. As long as it's maintained properly. So,
Well, I was a fan of that concept as you started looking into it, and trust your folks to your knowledge on that equipment. I'd rather see us get what we need also, and I'd rather take it out of HT fund. Not be looking to spread it out a couple of years, if we're gonna pull it out, we got it now. So I don't know if there's a reason to defer the tracks to another year, to start getting those to group tracks if we get snow next year. So I think that would be my only thought on top of what we share. You know, the custody is just a fancy golf cart. And
yeah,
unfortunately, when we hire a lot of younger people, it tend to take some abuse. So let's get one that doesn't go as fast. It's more
I think it's 27 months. At least so the issue to the tracks, I mean, that's a lot of money for a very specific purpose, in my opinion, especially when you're gonna spend a lot on a machine. You know, I would ask that the rec committee look into the actual number of times that we needed to have it in the past several years. I think you're gonna find it wasn't used as often as you think, for the purpose that it was purchased for, which was grooming cross-country street trails. And there may be, I do know there's some other options available for that. Council members Stewart and I talked about it. I think that will be maybe better spent elsewhere. But anyway.
So, to make that point clear, I'll trust your folks' judgment on the equipment, the recommendations. I heard spread cost across a couple of years, which made me think we're thinking we're gonna get the tracks in another year. That's all I'm suggesting. We're gonna bust it up and we're taking it out of the HT account. I'd rather do it all at once and be done with it. So we can hang on different, but if you don't think it needs tracks, then that's fine.
Or the tracks are, we just purchased the property now, stuff, my understanding, we want to expand maybe some cross-country trails back in there and stuff. And, you know, maybe not a lot of people use them, but a lot of people like to use them, and I think we should keep them going. What are we talking about for the tracks?
This is again from
Cost-wise.
Keats. Tracks,
The first time.
$5,400 is what he's saying the tracks are about.
And, you know, just to keep it in perspective, that HT funding that we have, you know, as Councilmember Donahue just pointed out, we have it in property. We don't have access to it because you gotta go in and put trails in and you gotta
Sure.
put some roads in. You know, I would love, I think the first step is to, you know, we're gonna go there, we're just expend money to open up that property and then get the equipment. You know,
But of course, with the tracks, you're not gonna use them this one, you're gonna have multiple years. I hope these things last for years. And, you know, $5,000 is a big expenditure to make sure that we are able to roam the trails for the people wanting to use. I would just assume that the tracks, funds where we're drawing some money, I don't think an extra $5,000 is a lot.
Well, we can all debate that, but I'm not going to. So, you know, keep in mind that, we did purchase, you know, 75 horsepower, piece of equipment down there. That can be used to groove trails because it has wide enough wheel set on it. And, I gotta tell you, I'm not sold that to get tracks based on the payback that our residents are getting. I mean, when's the last time we had groove trails?
And I guess where on a separate side note, tracks on tracks, I really think that if we are really considering trading in this machine, I think handling the tracks as a separate item, we might be able to actually get a decent amount of money for the tracks, trading in potentially new tracks. And like I said, I guess where I said the other thing is, let's get it rolling. If we did, as Councilmember Donnie just said, we are going to move forward, budget the tracks, put it in the next year's budget. But what we were discussing is we do have that 75 horsepower tractor. Is it cheaper to modify possibly the sled that's towed to groove the trails and use the tractor more often than, you know, this machine that they're saying is what runs the park? Give it a break from towing through there. So I was just, I guess if we're looking at, if you're looking for my feedback, I'd say hold off on the tracks, use the other old tracks as a bargaining chip, and if we can get decent money there, then hold
I
on.
like that.
Because as he said, he does have $4,000 unspoken for equipment as well. So if we're looking for a motion, I guess.
You're looking for an amount.
An amount.
You do go out for a public referendum, is that what we're trying to do?
Well, you have to tell me what you want to take out of the capital reserve funds, because when I craft the resolution that you would have for the next meeting, we would have to have that amount in there, because there are certain requirements that need to be in that resolution.
Not too.
Not to exceed,
That was a good start.
but not to exceed the entire.
Right, yeah.
No, it's
So that's
15,000.
the whole thing.
I would like to just go forward with that to exceed 22,000. We get a cheaper rate.
Want to do that?
And I basically saying that it's around 22,000. We haven't confirmed or not if they are on state contract or not. So I would say go with the full amount of 22,000, and if we can get it for cheaper, then great.
That sounds good.
Well, if it's 22,000 and it's not on a state contract, you have to budget bid afterwards for it. If it's on state contract and it's under 20,000, you'll be okay, and you want it to go out to bid. So for the next meeting, you want a resolution that the money is taken from the outside capital reserve account, not to exceed $22,000, for the purposes of purchasing. What is exactly?
Purchasing a utility or
RTV or UTV.
RTV or UTV vehicle for use on our recreational for town property.
Okay.
Work.
That works for me.
So, you don't need a motion on that.
No.
We'll take it at that next meeting. Okay. Anything else?
You know, hold on for, we're not putting out for us. Correct?
Correct. Gotcha. Everybody's in agreement?
Yes.
So that's that. Oh, no, I do have one more item. So, board members should have received a copy of a proposal from the LA Group in relation to our Big Bend Trail Phase 1. Just to recap, the town received a $250,000 grant, and professional services are covered as part of that grant. We asked the LA Group to submit a proposal for professional services for the Monroe Big Bend Trail Phase 1 project along the river. They have outlined the scope of services, and their consultant fees will be based on a lump sum fee of $33,300. And everybody should have a copy of the scope of services, which is pretty specific, and an overview. Task 1 would be field work verifying the site's existing conditions, confirming design scope, and updating the base map. Task 2 would be a final trail design. And then task 3 would be permitting to the various state agencies, i.e. the DEC. They've outlined what services are not included. And then on the final page, there should be a schedule of fees. For task 1, expect to expend a total of $3,945 for design and trail. They expect to cost us $20,640 for permitting, would be $8,100. Which adds up to the total fee of $33,300. And that would require, you can see the breakdown for the staff hours, 11 hours for the principal in charge, David Miller, 92 hours for Tracy Clothier as a senior planner, and 202 hours for Michael Penich, our project manager, also associate landscape architect. So, doesn't have to be acted on tonight. I want to bring to the board's attention, see if it's something you want to act on. Looking for feedback.
Personally, I'm just moving the whole process forward, but I do want to take, a little bit of time just to review.
Okay.
But just first time I saw it was tonight, and we just got it. And I'd like, for whatever methods are available, maybe try to get some insight into what the costs are going to be of those things that aren't moved. Because 250 can go pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then we have site survey, we see the things that are not.
Right.
But I'd love to see us move on it or not, have a decision by next board meeting. It's all right to table for 1 week.
Yeah, sure. So I would encourage board members to reach out to Tracy.
Yeah.
Get all your questions answered. And maybe there's things that come out of those conversations that we're not aware of that we need to consider. So I'll have it on the next agenda on that. Thank you. Agenda item 7, supervisor items. I just want to mention, if you haven't already seen, that the governor extended state of emergency through March 15th, which allows us to continue to hold virtual meetings if we were to so choose through March 15th. And we're actually doing both in person and virtual. So we have under supervisor items. Committee reports, any committee reports? Economy. Sounds good on those on the above.
Paul is in contact with some people about the tractor, I sit down with them, so I actually just got his emails and get back to him until yesterday, so we're still working.
Just a
on
loader. Oh, loader.
We load on the transfer station, so I missed his email somehow, so.
We,
We're gonna move forward with that. Like I said, we'll keep looking along until we decide.
we got some other issues that I could take up in executive session, not related to the loader, but it may impact. So we'll chat some more.
All right, good.
Any other committee?
Real quick on the technology, I got an update today from those folks involved with the new phone systems that implemented. Or the enhancements to the phone system, so now callers calling town on the road no longer have to hear the greeting. It was on oil before, that said if you want water, hang up and call this number, if you want court, hang up and call this number. Now you just press the option, you can route out to the dog.
Very, very happy with it.
That's a good step. Now we'll go back and make sure that Spectrum gets the billing right, because they seem to already be off the whole direction. We'll figure it out.
We're gonna need an executive session, but before we do that, we've got two members of the public. We'll probably have an extensive executive session, so rather than have you have to wait, we'll move up privilege of the floor to now. Just ask for a resolution that you state your name, an address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Where would you like to go first?
It's fine. Johnny Simone, one of the principals of Cerrone Builders. Last month, I sent a letter to the board, just trying to follow up if anything's been done on the sewer comprehensive plan or the moratorium, where we're at, if anything's been done. I know we're 2 months in. That was it, just looking for some little feedback.
So I'm going to ask council to just talk about how far along we are in the process. I can tell you that the board has made it a priority because there is a moratorium in place to get that buttoned up. We're almost there. I think, well, I do know there's a document that will be presented, if it hasn't already been, to board members for review and input before we release it to the public. But I hope to take it up at our next board meeting.
I think that's what we talked about. So, there's 2 local laws currently been drafted, a sewer use ordinance as well as amendments to the zoning to discuss everything that with public policy on the moratorium. Both of them have been through, the sewer one at least has been through extensive iterations, and it's just about ready to go out to the public. The zoning one has also been presented to all the interested parties. We're just waiting to hear feedback from the boards. We had a timetable in place. We actually had quite an extensive conversation this afternoon for about an hour and a half about it. Hoping to get everything done, buttoned up in the next, before the end of the moratorium. That's the goal here. There's obviously timing issues, but that's what we're trying to do. So things are drafted. We're just getting final comments on it.
Right, moving forward. Now, would you, and as we said in the letter too, would you want some of the builders part of work together to kind of, if we're going to do something, our input, because obviously we develop, and that's not my only piece of property in town. We have several other properties in town. So I mean, what transpired the past year plus, we didn't want. I know you guys didn't want. We're all stuck in the middle of a mess, but we have to kind of work it out. And part of my mess, situation that you guys are changing to adapt to the sewer. We have to change to adapt to maybe build with the sewer. Is there anything like that could happen? Maybe we could do changing of the zone or change the density or something like that to try to make everybody happy.
Yeah, so as part of the process, yes, you have input on it, because once we get to a draft that the board is comfortable with, we have to go for a public hearing on it, where it'll be properly noticed. Everybody gets to weigh in, whether you're a resident or a property owner or a developer, and those comments and the input from the public will be taken into consideration based on the draft we have, and we can either include some of those recommendations or concerns. We can modify the draft before we move forward with it. So yes, you'll have an opportunity to be involved in it.
At the public hearing,
Yes.
not any meetings with just, town board members,
No,
the engineer and ourselves.
So my experience over the years, you gotta get to a point where you have a document.
I understand.
Because I have seen it where, with other administrations, where you keep getting input along the way, and you never get to the
You never
point
get
where you
there.
have a working document, so, I think that, the way to do this is get to a working document and then go from there. But yeah, you will have an opportunity to weigh in on it.
Okay,
And the things that you're talking about are incorporated right now.
Yeah,
The whole density and all that, we've incorporated language, thinking of what the developers would want in there and what the property owners would want in there, so we kind of know where everyone's coming from and incorporate that in there.
okay, perfect, thank you.
Well,
Last thing, nothing to do with that, and then, I don't know if I'll have 3 minutes, but we have a piece of commercial property. I sent an email on the 44 acre piece. We've been, kind of marketing out to some big commercial tenants. Would you want to be a part of those meetings when we have them? Actually, this is kind of, I guess, directed towards you. Is that something that you guys would want to be a part of? Because quite honestly, developing a commercial piece is new to us. That commercial piece has a lot of different things we can do with it. We really want to develop it the right way for the town because it is a big piece. It's going to be a lot to develop, and we just want to set it up the right way.
I think, are you saying town in general involved? Does the town in general want to be involved?
Yeah.
Yes. As you know, we've got separation of powers and authority between the town board and the planning board. I don't see any reason why our zoning administrator can't be involved in that.
And he's been helpful. I just don't know if you guys are getting any input. I'm saying, hey, we need adult apartment, 55 and over apartments, or we need this, or we need that, so we can, because we have a couple means of egress, and we have a big, and we can really kind of set it up the right, we want to obviously maximize development. So I guess recommendations from you guys, hey, the town would be looking for this, looking for that, so we can try to accommodate all sorts of needs to just help it through the approval process. So that should be directed towards Jim.
I would say, and the reason that that's my recommendation is that you can meet with any board member individually, but none of us has the collective authority to act, unilaterally and say, yes, this is what we want, go for it. So there has to be a collective agreement by a majority of the board. And I think it would be a waste of any board member's time and your time, especially if, we made our feelings like, yeah, we definitely want this without having it, go through our planning board and he sends a recommendation to us to review. But not the planning board, the zoning administrator.
Well, I meant in the sense of if a corporation or somebody called you, hey, we're looking for a piece of property to come to Morel, do you have anybody that's developing something? That was kind of more my question.
Yeah, with town property, yeah, like in the industrial park, absolutely.
Well, we have something going there, that's working. That's actually getting better and better by the day. And maybe.
I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, no, I mean, for the commercial, is any chain stores, anything that you know that is looking at, that is actively looking for a piece to develop on Route 9? That's pretty much what I was asking.
Oh, okay.
If everything goes well, it will no longer be called the Monroe Industrial Park, it's called the Serrano Industrial Park, just let you know.
I'm all for.
But I thank you for your time, and I'm very happy to hear that we are moving forward, hopefully, in the right direction, that we can all get along and develop that property.
Great.
Thank you for your time, thank you for moving up the,
That's right.
public forum, whatever you call it. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. Dave Byrne, Tendo Run. I'm a local business owner here in the town of Monroe. We do community solar project development and services, and we also install EV charging stations. So I'm also here to talk about a moratorium. And it's been a while. We've been trying to give the board its time and space to go through this due diligence process and look at it from every angle. I have a few more gray hairs since I last saw you. I think you all look well, but my gray hairs I attribute to the length of the moratorium here at the town.
it's, you know, I travel all across New York, and I said this before, but this is the longest standing solar moratorium I've ever come across. I work on projects across New York State.
Well, we don't have.
There is no solar moratorium in the town.
There was for
There was,
about
like,
two years.
That was gone about a year ago
Yeah.
or more.
Okay, so what was the outcome of that? Because typically, you know, moratoriums are put in place to come up with a law, you know, that governs that
There
particular
was a
use.
draft, I'm sorry, Mr. Supervisor.
Yeah, so there was, we put together a draft, we took in public comments on it. And it became clear that no matter what side of the issue you were on, nobody was happy with it. And from my perspective, I saw what it did for our community, especially those individuals in the area that would be impacted by it. It was pitting neighbors against neighbors. You know, after here taking in all the public comment, it became clear to me that when you go to make a proposed zoning change, you have to consider who benefits from it. You know, does a majority of the town benefit? Does a minority of members of the town benefit? Does a handful of people benefit from it? And based on the unique circumstances of it, it became clear that only a select number of individuals would benefit from the zoning change. Also during that process, we had a project come before the planning board that wants to locate solar in an area of the town, our industrial park, that's already zoned for it. And that required us to, we also had to take into consideration some of the language that was included in the proposed zoning law that was specific to pilot agreements. And so because that project was moving forward, we pulled that language out of the proposed draft solar law, and we actually enacted it so that the project could move forward in industrial park. Doing so made, that's.
Sorry, just to clarify, so by enacted, you adopted solar law, is that what you're saying?
No, we enacted a how to handle pilots with solar.
Right.
project.
Right, there was, that law was incorporated in the original draft law that went out to the public that
Mhm.
was never adopted. We pulled out the pilot part of that,
Mhm.
made that its own law, and this board adopted that law after it went through a public.
Okay.
So that was a dramatic change to the draft solar law, which requires it to start over.
Okay. So, what are the next steps then?
I have no interest in moving forward with
Oh, so you're not moving forward with any solar law?
it, not this time.
Okay. All right, well, there's new board members here. You know, just to clarify, we found two parcels in town which we feel are reflective of good solar development. One is north of the transfer station, and it was a topsoil mining operation. I think there's concern, you know, expressed by the supervisor of siting solar farms on farmland, specifically prime soils. So we've identified a couple sites. Again, one is they had a topsoil mining permit that was closed out in 2010. And then the other one is right along the Northway, and that has 5 billboards on it and has screening on, you know, all sides of the proposed area. So you'd only see it for a couple seconds while going up the Northway. So again, it would mostly affect people from New Jersey driving north to Lake George or wherever they're going. So we have a couple sites that we think are really good. And I guess I just want to understand, you know, what the board's plan is. I understand your position. But I want to understand like what the board's plan is in general. And obviously there's multiple members of the board. Is there any discussion that can be had on this? Or, I mean, we went through this whole process. It's put folks like myself in a really tough position, you know, and, you know, we also feel that it should be the rights of the property owner on how they use their property, as long as it doesn't adversely affect other people. And I don't feel that that's been, you know, demonstrated, particularly in these two properties that we're proposing. And, you know, also I would propose that the town consider a solar overlay district, because that would retain the control at your level. You know, and the board could decide where they think solar could go and, you know, not have an adverse impact on the community and where would be the best locations for it. A lot of towns do this across New York State. You know, it's a common tool. So I don't know if this has been discussed more. I know there's
So I
talk.
just, if I may interrupt, you've gone well over 3 minutes.
Right.
So what I would like to do is if any other board member wants to comment at this time, so feel free to do so, but I'm not gonna engage in a debate on it tonight. But I'll let board members speak.
I just, I'll make a quick comment. I respect your comment, Mr. Supervisor, and the position you shared tonight that you're taking. I personally hadn't taken that position up to this point, but I didn't know that we weren't gonna move forward on discussing a solar law. So it's certainly not been a priority Dave, at this point in time. Unless you want to hear that.
Yeah.
There's been much more pressing issues that mean more to the taxpayers that we had to put energy and focus toward. We've been working on a lot of things to get it done. So,
Yeah, we've tried to be very patient. I
yeah,
mean,
understandable. I know the two properties you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you know, my position is, as a board member, we're still going to try to figure out how to discuss if there is some options for solar in the town. That's just my personal position as a board member.
I like Alan was kind of taken back right now. The supervisor said we're not going to move forward with this at all. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying,
You're not personally, you have no interest in moving forward with the solar.
based on what I heard from the public, I don't see a
You
viable.
heard different things in the public than I heard.
Okay, if we're gonna debate that.
I'm not gonna debate, I'm not gonna debate it, but I certainly agree with Alan. I think at some point we have to get moving in this and come to some kind of conclusion, one way or another, with the gas solar law. You know, this thing is it's in its third year. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
You were unwilling to bend from your position. There's no compromise. It's a waste of time for everybody.
I don't think there was a compromise presented.
You said that you support it only for all in the ag district. This supports.
I don't think there was a compromise that was presented.
Yeah, there was the draft.
Present me a compromise.
The draft law was a compromise.
So fairness to the goal here tonight was for the speaker, like one of these, move on to another board member want to comment.
Yeah, so as far as one of the things I was tasked when I started here, I did. Councilmember Donahue forwarded me approximately 109 emails that happened years and months back that I've been working on the draft solar law. So I am definitely trying to get caught up to speed. As Councilmember Matasso said, there's just been a lot of things on the plate in the first 2 months here. So I'm definitely getting behind my homework. One thing you just said I haven't heard, what was this? You said an overlay?
solar overlay district, so that would be an overlay district across the town, and then the town board would have the authority and the control to review any proposed project and look at it on its own merits, based on the potential impact on the surrounding community and the benefits to the
That
community.
was discussed.
It wasn't,
It's in there.
so I wasn't trying to come up with it, look back there, so yeah, so I'm on our end, we're looking at it, like I said, there was 100 and, I believe it was 9 emails sent to me one Sunday, a few weeks after I started. I'm digging through them, we have missed something, so
Yeah.
we are, as everybody on the board, we discussed it, and I guess that'd be kind of where the next step is at, obviously, we're have difference of opinions across the board on it. We'll come to a board conclusion eventually.
Great. Last comment, sheet grazing. Okay, there's dual use applications for properties, and you can do solar and sheet
I'm
grazing.
sorry, but we do have additional work as a courtesy. We let the public comment move ahead. We do have other business tonight. Your time has expired.
Okay,
I think we've been courteous and allowed you to have additional time and feedback with the board.
sure.
But feel free, I mean, you can come back again, you can talk to council members directly, but we do have additional business tonight.
Okay. Also, I mean, some towns, they have public hearings first on the agenda, so it might be something to look at.
Thanks, man. Good night, sir.
All right, so we do need an executive session for a number of items. Yeah, sure. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing potential litigation, to discuss contract negotiations relating to sale of town property, and the work performance of a particular unnamed former or future town employee.
So.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? We're in executive.
Gingerly.
Anybody else?
17.
We don't have to vote for that in closed session.
No, you just put in that note of time.
We have to vote for that.
How do you vote to come out when you don't take minutes in executive session?
So just asking. All right, you all set, Leanne?
Yeah.
Okay, we just came out of executive session, and I would ask that the record reflects that we took no action in executive session. We do have a couple items to take up before we adjourn this evening. First one is we received a letter of resignation from James G. Wright, who worked part-time at a transfer station, and that will require the board by resolution accept his resignations. Someone like to move that? So move.
Second.
Any discussion? I just want to thank James for his service to the town Monroe residents in this capacity at the transfer station. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Next item is we have voucher number. Voucher number, but it's from it's for payment. The claimant is Newcastle Paving LLC. The fund that the payment is coming out of is HG 8197.0. And we will be paying that in the amount of $456,953.90. And I need a motion to add this voucher to the previously adopted warrant earlier today in our audit meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Yeah, I guess so.
That's.
Yeah, just like that. No, I just signed it. Right, and then we have a request from the highway superintendent. And I believe council member Stewart has a motion.
I would like to make a motion to transfer $5,920 from account DB 5142.490 to be split between accounts DB 5110.1 and DB 5142.1 for the classification change of Dustin Underwood from mechanic to mechanic ME.
Effective beginning of the next pay period.
With the effective date of next pay period.
Second.
Any discussion? Under discussion, I'm just going to, I'll be voting no on it. Has nothing to do on the merits of the employee. It's based on the fact that I think promotions should be discussed at budget time as we're putting our budget together, and this discussion never took place regarding the highway superintendent's intention to make a promotion. So I'll be voting no for that reason. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm opposed. Motion carries 3-1. Any other business? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, Leanne.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Carl.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie.
So, by the way,
Just want to make sure my notes are, this is table.
you don't think there's-
Yes.